Hello traders, Rich here and welcome to a new video. Today is going to be a little bit different as we are going to go over multiple assets in the same video to feel the overall market better. So let me know if you like this type of content for me to keep doing it. So let's start with US500 and we can clearly see that it's overall bearish, making low lows and lower highs, trading inside this falling broadening wedge. And we are currently in an impulse movement. The reason why it's an impulse because we are bearish. So every bullish movement would be a correction and every bearish movement would be an impulse. So we're expecting the price to keep respecting this falling broadening wedge. So we're expecting a movement to the lower bound of this lower trend line. Of course, for now it's a support zone, so let's see if the bulls will kick in by breaking above this high. Anyway, we'll see it better when we zoom into lower time frames. If you break it higher, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement inside this short-term bearish trend. So we are bearish from a medium term perspective and also from a long term perspective. So if the bulls take over here, it would be a short term one before the bears kick in again. For the bulls to take over from a long term perspective and to have a shift in momentum from bearish to bullish, we need to see a break above the entire falling broadening wedge. But for now, let's take it step by step, right? We are around the lower bound of this support zone. We'll be speculating the boost to kick in if we break above this. Meanwhile, the bears are in control, and if we see a big bearish candle closing below the zone, then we'll be expecting further bearish movement just like previously. And since we are trading inside a falling broadening wedge, when the impulse movements get bigger, the correction also gets bigger. So small impulse, small correction, bigger impulse, bigger correction, right? So bigger impulse now, and later on we'll be expecting a bigger correction movement. So if we zoom into H4 time frame, we can see that we have been bearish also. As mentioned, we have this one from a medium to this one, and we are also bearish from a short-term perspective. We are trying to break below this area. We haven't broke it yet from daily, so only wicks here from daily time frame. So the bulls can still kick in. As you can see, I don't know if you can see it, my alert is here, so we're waiting for the bulls to break above it. In this case, we'll be expecting a bullish movement. Meanwhile, if we close below this area, below the wicks from daily, a big daily candle close below it, then we'll be expecting further bearish movements. Now if we go and check DXY, most probably an opposite scenario. As you can see, bearish on US500, bullish on DXY. From monthly time frame, we can see that we are trading inside this big channel, and we are already around a minor support and resistance. We can see it here, a resistance here, a support here, and also lining up with this upper brown trend line acting as a non-horizontal resistance. So we might start a correction from here, or if the bulls manage to close above this area, then we'll be expecting further bullish movement at the previous major high around 120. So the exact opposite scenario as we saw from US500. From daily time frame, we are currently also trading inside a short-term bullish, so long-term bullish inside this big brown channel, and now inside this rising broadening wedge short-term, also around and over both area, the upper trend line acting as a non-horizontal resistance. So yeah, we are expecting a correction movement till this minor demand zone, lining up with the previous highs and also with this lower brown trend line. If you break it down, we will be expecting further bearish move. But for now, let's take it step by step, right? From H4 time frame, we already broke below this low, so we can expect a trend continuation to the downside, of course, from a short-term perspective. So bullish, now correction, previously bullish, and the correction started by breaking below this low. Now let's get into crypto, right? So USDT dominance also around a resistance zone. If you zoom in, you can see it better. Multiple rejections from this area. Of course, like price can still retest it before we trade lower, but this is acting as a support zone. Now we can see multiple rejections from this one. So for the bear to take over from a medium term perspective, I would like to see a break below the zone. In this case, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. For now, we are trading here above the support, previously a resistance, and we're expecting a bullish movement. So as you can see, we are kind of in a range on USDT USDT dominance. If we break it upward, then we'll be expecting further bullish movement. If you zoom into H4, we can see that we are bullish as well from a long-term and from a short-term perspective. If we break the zone downward as mentioned and the trend line, then we'll be expecting bearish movement. For now, we are ranging inside the zone. If we trade higher, it will be overbought. We'll be looking for a sell here and for a buy around the lower band. So let's get it like into practice and check Bitcoin chart. Like for those who remember, yesterday I posted this one. We were around this area, that I'm still waiting for a momentum candle close above this area, like around 20k point 5. If this happens, let me fix it now. Okay, fantastic. If this happens, we'll be expecting a short-term bullish movement, which would be like the exact opposite of US500. If we break it downward, expecting a short-term movement, and then if we break this one downward, we'll be expecting long-term movement. And then for Bitcoin, if we break this zone upward, we'll be expecting a long-term bullish movement. But for now, let's take it step by step as usual. We are still here, and the exact opposite as USD dominance, we are stuck inside a range, so we can trade higher, rejected, trade lower, also a supply, rejected, trade higher, until eventually it's broken upward or downward. If you go to daily time frame, for the bears to take over, we need to see this break below the 18k, which would be what? Which would be USDT dominance breaking above the 8%, which would be the DXY breaking above this area, a big bullish candle from weekly and monthly, and then we'll be expecting further movement upward to the 120, which would be US500 breaking entirely below the zone. In this case, we'll be expecting a bearish movement. Okay, so now you can see the correlation in action, right? So if we break downward, we'll be expecting further bearish movement. For now, we'll be trading the range upward and downward. If we break this one upward, we'll be expecting a bullish movement till the next resistance, which would be around the 30k. And yeah, that's oops, let me go back to Bitcoin. So that's basically it. For now, we are ranging, like we don't really need to zoom into lower time frames, because like we're not now around a support resistance, we are just in the middle of nowhere. So I'm waiting for price to go down to look for buy setups here from a short-term perspective, just like previously, or to break it upward. We'll be expecting a movement till this supply zone and this blue zone, which you can see here, like which is the midway between these two upper bound and lower bounds. Here we go, support and resistance multiple times. So that's it for Bitcoin, Bitcoin USDT dominance, US500 and DXY. Best of luck, and I'll see you hopefully on the next one.